Welcome in to the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview, proudly presented by Arkansas Tech University, D3 Auto Sales, and Metcalf Trucking and Trailer Repair. Today we're visiting with Carlisle Bison head coach Gary Wilson. This pigskin preview is brought to you by TJ Poucher Trucking. Also sponsoring this video is the Bank of England Carlisle Banking Center.
All right, I'm here with Carlisle Bison head football coach Gary Wilson. Coach Wilson, you guys have had a lot of recent success here at your program. So tell me a little bit about what you guys do on a day-to-day basis and building this program, from a team that wasn't winning very many games a couple years ago to now, what you guys have done to get it really where you probably want it to be.
Well, I think the biggest thing is what we do in the off season. Our kids love to be in the weight room, so we lift 4 days a week. Wednesday is a day where we do yoga, we stretch, we try to recover, and then we speed train twice a week, and we hold that, with our entire program. Our junior high does the same thing, and in our opinion, that's where we've really been able to make strides and get things back on track where we expect Carlisle football to be. So off seasons is where it all starts for us.
So talking with some of the other coaches in 2A and kind of played you guys before, they talk about Carlisle as a really physical team, a team that likes to kind of run it down your throat and make you tackle a big running back. You guys have had Caleb Elliott and Jason Sullivan the past couple of years. Tell me about building the identity of this team, this football program, into that kind of strong and physical group. You mentioned that you guys weight train really often. So tell me what your mindset was behind that.
Well, we're going to be a little bit different this year. We're still going to be a team that'll be physical, that'll hit you. But this year we're going to be built around speed. We've got a lot of speed. We won the 4x100 relay in 2A. We've got 2 of those sprinters back. They're our 2 leading receivers. So this year it might be a little different look for Carlisle football. It's going to be guys that can make you defend the entire field, and they can run away from you. And in the backfield, it'll be the same way. We won't be as big, but it'll still be guys that are strong, but guys that can move and run away from you.
So you guys have had some really deep playoff runs in the last couple of years. Probably came up short of where you guys expected to be at the end of the season. Tell me about how motivated your coaching staff and your players are to get to that state title game and eventually win that game.
Well, 2 years ago, losing in the state championship game it hurt because obviously you want to win the whole thing. But, we just felt like that year, Hazen was head and shoulders above everyone that year. And we knew we'd have to play a perfect game to beat them. This past season, we felt like there were, the 4 semifinal teams, we felt like any of the 4 of them were capable of winning. And, being 19 seconds away, I think we gave up a score with 19 seconds left to an excellent EPC team. But, being that close to being back to the state championship, that's been a tough one for us and our players to get over. So they've been really motivated to get back to the state championship again, and we feel like we have the pieces to do it. So it's been good fuel to get us through the off season.
So tell me about your schedule for this season. Tell me about your non-conference, how you scheduled it, why you scheduled the teams that you did, and then going into conference play, the teams that you're kind of looking forward to as big games, and maybe some teams that you're, obviously Hazen's a big game every year. Des Arc's are you guys playing Des Arc this year?
We are.
Des Arc's going to be a big game because you guys are close together. And so, it's this kind of area right here, this Carlisle, Des Arc, and Hazen area. Tell me about what the kind of community is around here with Carlisle, and then tell me about your schedule this season.
Sure. Well, just community-wise, we get excellent community support. You know, people love football here in Carlisle, and we kind of have Coach Clayton and the guys from the '90s and the early 2000s to thank for that. You know, they were a 10-year period where they went 10-0 in the regular season every year. They went nearly 10 years without losing a home game. So, you know, football culture is huge here. We have an excellent booster club. I mean, anything we need for the most part, if we ask, they'll help us get it. So we get great fan support, great support from our booster club. As far as our schedule goes, we try to, or I'm going to try to every year schedule a team in non-conference that's somewhere that our guys wouldn't get to play at. You know, haven't seen, just somewhere new. So we'll open up with Drew Central this year down in Monticello. I don't know a lot about them, but you know, it's our guys get excited to play new teams. Then in week one, we've got a huge game in week one. We're going to play Junction City. They'll come down here. You know, they're coming back down to 2A, so that will and they're loaded. I mean, they're going to be really tough. We know we'll have to play well, but we feel like that'll give us a good gauge on where we're at. You know, and then next week we've got a bye week the next week, and then we head to Desart. That's always a big game. You know, Hazen, Carlisle, Desart are all big rivalries or big rivals. So that's a big game. As far as conference goes, you know, Coach Basankin and Hazen, they're always. I feel like they'll always put a good team on the football field. England's got a lot of guys coming back. I know they feel good about what they've got this year. And then Poen is always going to be extremely well coached, and they're going to play hard. Bearden's going to be better too. So there'll be some challenges for sure this year.
So in talking with some of the other coaches I've talked to, they've kind of mentioned a couple of teams. They mentioned you guys as contenders, and they mentioned Junction City, Conway Christian, Hazen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just some off the top of my head that I can think of. Of course, Desart's competitive pretty much every year. Tell me why you could say to your fans, the people in Carlisle, that you guys are going to give everybody a run for their money. You guys are going to be up at the top again this year.
Well, I think our guys know how to win now, and they expect to win. I think that's, you know, a big thing is the players, they believe in each other. I think they believe in the coaching staff. They trust us to make the adjustments that we need to make when things aren't going right. And we got good players. I mean, you always look like a better coach when you have good players, and we've got really good players. And then, you know, Junction will be loaded at the skill spot. Mark Tree's going to be excellent at the skill positions. Desark will be good. Well, there's going to be a lot of really good skill guys in 2A, but I feel like you're going to be hard pressed to find skill guys that are better than what we have. And that's not a slight on anyone. I know Mark Tree's loaded, Junction's loaded. We love our skill guys. We've got receivers that can really run. You know, the two guys that were on our 4x100 team are both 4-5 guys. Our outside receiver spots, we can go 6'3" at one side, 6'3" at the other side. We feel really, really good about our skill position guys. We just got to figure it out up front, and we think we'll be tough.
So tell me about some of the players on your team, some guys that, you know, people are going to know about, maybe some guys that are going to kind of come out of nowhere, maybe some guys that you think are really going to have a big season that people aren't expecting.
I'd say the first guy I'd start with would be Gabe Bull. Gabe will be a 4-year starter for us. We moved him up in the 9th grade, and you know, he was on a team that went 1-9. And so he took his lumps. He knows what it's like to be on a really bad team. He knows what it's like to be on a really good team. He was all-state linebacker for us this season. I think he's got an offer from Hendricks, and he's starting to get some other attention. Just a really, really good football player. He understands how to play linebacker, and he's tough a kid as you'll find. Then we'd go. Gavin Davis was one of our 4x100 sprinters. He's a 4-5 guy. He had 38 catches last year, so he set our school record for catches, for touchdown receptions, and for receiving yards. He's a big play threat. There's not a lot of guys he can't run away from. And then we can do a lot of things with him. He's actually got a really good arm. Can throw the football. We can hand it to him. I mean, we can do a lot with him. Next one would be Caden Kleeman. Caden is tied for the all-time lead in receptions with Gavin. Had, I think, 30 fewer receiving yards than Gavin did. He's a 4-5 guy too, but he's he's a guy we can get it out to on bubbles and things like that. He's really tough to tackle in space. He plays point guard for our basketball team, and I think he was an all-state basketball player too. So he's just a really good athlete. Let's see. Isaiah Powell is a 6'3" kid that plays receiver and then corner for us. I think there were 7 games where he didn't even have a target. That people just stopped throwing his way. He's got a chance to have an all-state type of season. We've got he'll be a junior. Kawan Parnell's his name. He's a 6'3" kid, plays receiver and defensive end for us. Had 10 sacks last year as a sophomore. So he's a really good pass rusher. He's getting better against the run. Let's see. A couple guys that may surprise you this year. One would be Jaden Elliott, Caleb's brother, our running back from last year. Jaden has had maybe the best offseason I've ever seen anyone have. He has put on 25 pounds of muscle. I mean, there's not an ounce of fat on him. Runs a 4.6 40, cleans almost 250 pounds. I mean, he's got a chance to be special. Lawson Petrus. Lawson started for us he's played safety, he's played outside linebacker, he's played receiver. He'll share carries with Jaden in the backfield this year. He's Luke Petrus's brother. He's all-state for us the last 2 years at tackle. Lawson holds the school record for clean in his weight division. I mean, he's a guy he's a 4'6" guy too, so he can run. He's got really good hands. He can do a little bit of everything for us. Who else do we got? Sorry, I'm trying to think. Oh man, Bentley Parker. Bentley's a guy that he'll be the smallest guy in our secondary. We're going to be long. We'll be 6'3" at one corner, 6'2" at one corner, 6'2" at a safety, and then 5'7" Bentley Parker at the other safety. He was all conference for us as a sophomore this year, and he just what he lacks in speed and athleticism, he makes up for in football smarts. He understands things. He thinks about the scheme. I get messages from him during football season on Saturdays about games that he's watching, college games and coverages that he doesn't like. And he's thinking football all the time. It's a really smart player, and he'll knock your head off too. So, and then the last one would be Jonte Farmer. Jonte's had an incredible offseason too. He's put on about close to 20 pounds, and he'll play defensive end for us. And if spring's any indication, he's got a chance to be all-state. He's looked phenomenal in the spring. So those are just a few of the guys right now that we think are set for big years for us.
So you said that your offense isn't going to be as run heavy this season. So tell me a little bit about what you guys will be doing differently offensively, and just how you're going to use that speed that you keep talking about. Could try to beat other teams. Maybe using the deep ball or screen passages, anything that you guys are going to use to try to beat these other teams.
Well, we're going to be really heavy on using motions and shifts, and we'll be starting a ninth grader quarterback that we're moving up. Ty Tanksley's his name, and we think he's going to be special. He's a baseball player too. He's a perfect game, has him ranked in the top 100 prospects in the country in his class. He's a kid that throws 89 right now off the mound, and he throws a perfect deep ball. But he can make all the intermediate throws we need him to make too. So this year we're just gonna attack teams. We're gonna try to attack teams all over the field. We feel like we can throw it vertically. We've got Caden Klingman, Lawson Petrus, and some other guys that we can get it to in the flats on the bubbles that can make you miss. And then we also feel like being able to attack teams, through the air is going to open up, the running lanes for our backs, and we feel good about those guys. So it's going to try to make you defend the whole field.
Tell me about your defense. You guys have had a pretty stout defense last couple of years too. You mentioned Gabe Boyle is going to be kind of the leader of that group, coming back as an all-state player. So tell me about what you guys are going to do defensively and what your expectation is for your defense.
Well, we base out of the 3-4, and we're really multiple. We can, it lets us stay balanced and aligned to pretty much anything that we see offensively. We like to bring pressure. This year we'll probably bring more. We're not going to be as big. Where we had, a defensive line last year that could go 280, 260, 230. This year we'll be 210, 205, and we can go like 280 in the middle, but we're going to be long. So we're going to attack, bring a lot of pressure, and we've got some really smart football players on the back end. So we feel like we can do a lot coverage-wise to confuse teams and disguise a lot of things. So we're just going to be really, really multiple in the things that we do. And then as far as expectations, I think our kids will tell you that they expect to shut everyone down that they play. I mean, we know people are going to score on us because we play some really good teams and there's some really good football players. But our kids get mad when they give up a first down. So they expect to stop teams.
So, last question for you here, sure. Coach. What kind of season would you guys have to have for you to be satisfied at the end of the year? So, last year you said you guys kind of were upset. You guys felt that you fell short to EPC there at the semifinals. So, tell me what you guys would say would be a successful season for you this year.
Well, the first goal is always going to be to win the conference championship. So win the conference championship and make a run to Little Rock, and I think anything less than that, I don't know that I would call it an unsuccessful season, but I think it would be a disappointment to our guys because we feel like we've got the pieces in place to have a really special year. So win conference, make a run to Little Rock.
All right. This has been an interview with Carlisle Bison head football coach Gary Wilson. Coach Wilson, is there anything you want to say about your program before we sign off here?
No, I think we've covered about all of it.
All right. I'm Carson Wood with Arkansas Sports Network. You can find Arkansas Sports Network on Facebook and YouTube.
Thanks again for joining us on the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Arkansas Sports Network on YouTube to catch more previews and all the latest updates on your favorite teams.